Shalom, giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashum, Yahushai, Bahashum, Arachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the tabernacle of David, the four elect that are scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. And there's just, news and prophecy dealing with the third woe. As it is written in Revelation 11 and 14, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Right now, they're getting ready for another nuclear talk because the first one, it didn't go too smooth. So this second one is going to be a deciding factor, if anything is going to pop off, all right, and escalate into a straight up conflict. So in the meanwhile, they're positioning themselves. Iran has been receiving a lot of, technology, ammunition, certain missile systems, from China, from Russia. They've been in the Straits of Hormuz, test firing missiles, mobilizing, certain, ships, because they already know that, if this second talk goes like anything like the first one, America is just gonna just flat out, they're gonna kick it off. All right, so right now, both sides are preparing. The U.S. has been moving aircraft carriers, warships over to that region. So the tension is at an all-time high. Okay, so they're going through what I would call military training camp. Like when two fighters is getting ready to have a bout, and right before they have their bout, they need like 3 months to do a training camp. They doing their exercising, they doing their road work so that they can have their wind up, they endurance, they sparring. So that's basically what the military does when they prepare for war. You mobilize all your men, you move them into certain positions, they test fire, and you test out your missiles, your missile defenses, your fighter jets, so on and so forth. All right, so that's what's basically going down. All right, so I'm gonna play some of this. This is from Times of India. All right, and I'm gonna just let it play. And we in them times, man. We getting close. And we got to keep our eyes open.
Other warships, bombers, and ballistic missiles. The second round of nuclear talks is underway in Geneva. Indirect negotiations, careful wording, diplomatic language. But thousands of miles away in the Persian Gulf, Iran's paramilitary forces are staging large-scale maritime drills. Missiles launched from inside Iran and along its coastline, purportedly striking targets in the strait. The message? Iran is not negotiating from a position of weakness. It is negotiating with muscle flexed.
Yeah, because they're getting military backing from both China and Russia. All right, these are two superpowers within themselves, and they're coming together, and they're like the prophecy said, that God would be as a guard unto Russia. It's like Persia, which is Iran. All right, Ezekiel 38th chapter. So they're getting this military backing is why they're not standing down. Neither are they negotiating to satisfy the other side. All right. And it's not going to be an easy fight on both sides. So it's going to be drawn out. And what does the scripture say about what the least of the flock is going to cause? Let's go to Jeremiah 49. Yeah, Jeremiah 49:20 says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And that's the end result of this war. All right. We know that America's going to get rocked. The Holy Land is going to get rocked. And other parts of the world is going to get hit. And this is going to be the war that's going to end all wars. So that's why, things are starting to intensify. You're seeing that the plagues are increasing. More death, more judgment going out. A lot more brothers and sisters are having visions and dreams, prophetic dreams and visions, because we're clearly in that time, man. Okay.
Iran insists the talks will focus solely on its nuclear program, not on domestic unrest, not on sanctions rhetoric, not on internal crackdowns. And its top diplomat, Abbas Araghchi, says he has arrived with real ideas for a fair deal. But he also draws a red line. Submission before threats is not on the table. Meanwhile, Washington is turning up the pressure. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly warned that if Iran refuses to constrain its nuclear ambitions, force remains an option. He has reminded Tehran of what American bombers can do, and he has already moved hardware into...
Yeah, this is the hammer of the earth. You got to come in once again and show another country, and live up to your reputation that, this is how you moving. The bullies of the earth, the hammer of the earth. Even though the prophecies say that Babylon eventually is going to be ambushed, a snare is going to be laid for Babylon, and she ain't going to know, because that's going to be the Lord setting this place up. Now, all these nations they're going to come together against Babylon. Okay.
Place. The USS Gerald F. Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier, has been sent to the Middle East. It joins the USS Abraham Lincoln and guided missile destroyers already operating in the region. Fighter jets, interceptors, missile defense systems. This is not subtle diplomacy. This is deterrence by deployment. Iran, however, is not blinking. Its Revolutionary Guard has begun...
Imagine two enemy forces. They both supposed to show up to a meeting, and they both showing up. They both pulling up to this meeting armed. Everybody got heat on them. That's what this second nuclear talk pretty much is. Everybody's pulling up, holding, armed. So, if negotiations isn't being met, somebody, try to flex on the other, it can go down easily. And we're going to see what Iran's going to do. Are they going to, cower out? They're going to lose confidence. They're going to be demoralized because the U.S. is moving force over there. So what are they going to do?
Drills across the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf, and the Gulf of Oman. Live fire exercises, radio warnings to passing vessels, a signal to global shipping that the waters are no longer calm. The strait is the ultimate pressure point. Choke it, even...
And that's, it's a vantage point for Iran, because they control the flow of oil in that region. That's pretty much their terrain, so they'll have the upper hand. If things were to pop off, and they got forces from the other side in that region, Iran, they know the terrain. All right. So it won't go the way the West thinks it's gonna go.
Temporarily, and oil markets shudder, energy prices spike, global economies feel the tremor. Tehran knows this, and it is reminding the world. This standoff comes as Washington signals a broader strategic shift, sharpening focus on homeland defense and long-term rivalry with China. That recalibration has raised questions about how much bandwidth America is willing to devote to another Middle East escalation. But Trump's message...
Yeah, you think you just finna deal with Iran, but you're dealing with Iran with the backing of Russia and China. You know, China has been jumping in and giving warnings too. Like, in other words, y'all attack Iran, you pretty much attack us. You know, because they're partners with Iran as well. They have things invested with Iran as well. All right, so this is getting interesting.
Has been unmistakable. He prefers a deal, but he is prepared for consequences. I think they want to make a deal, he said. I don't think they want the consequences of not making a deal. Yet Iran's tone suggests something else. Defiance, confidence, a calculation that America, stretched across multiple global...
Yeah, and you can see it even, that footage that came out where you had the Iranians when they burned the, Baal, that big ass Baal statue. And it had all the symbols on it, and you even had, you know, they applied it to the state of Israel, you know, with the Israeli flag. All right, it was also hinting at America as well, because we know that this is a deity that was worshipped, you know, by the early Canaanites, all right, the Egyptians, and now Babylon the Great worships the same deities. So when they burned that was signifying, you know, as basically defying, you know, Western power. Now, we know that y'all worship this deity, but we're gonna burn it, and they believe in their heart that they're gonna be the regime to stand against the war. All right. And deal with them little rats over there, okay? And the Lord's gonna use them, because we know what the prophecies say. 2nd Ezra 15 about the Carmanians and the dragons of Arabia. All right, is so the Lord is he's stirring the pot.
Flashpoints may not want another full-scale confrontation. Behind the scenes, envoys move quietly. SUVs with tinted windows, palace venues, carefully timed arrivals and exits. Even the structure of the talks is indirect. No dramatic handshake, no joint podium. Just intermediaries carrying messages between rooms. But outside those rooms, the military chessboard is fully visible. Iran had been enriching uranium to levels just short of weapons-grade purity before previous hostilities disrupted negotiations. Its nuclear program remains at the center of Western concern. Iran says it does not seek nuclear weapons. Washington says it cannot risk taking Iran at its word. And now both sides are testing how far the other is willing to go. Gulf Arab nations are watching nervously. They warn that any miscalculation, any strike, any interception gone wrong could spiral into a broader regional war. The Middle East is still reeling from the devastating Israel-Hamas conflict in Gaza. Another ignition point could drag in multiple actors, from proxy militias to state militaries. One drone shot down, one missile misread, one vessel seized.
And that was when their whole shit got exposed. Their whole shit got exposed during this whole operation, this back and forth. So you see why they trying to increase, their military budget. All right. Because Esau, all he's good with is that sword, because that's his blessing. But he had a kink in his armor when they had that showdown. All right. So we gonna see if they try to go again. Iran, they standing. It seemed like they're standing on all 10 toes. Okay, and this is all part of the theater of war, man, and the Most High is controlling it all. Like it says in Isaiah 13, right, he mustered up the host of the battle. So the Lord is setting this up beautifully, man. All right, he's like it says in Joel the 3rd chapter, that the Lord is pretty much gathering these nations. All right, and he's going to bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right, he's lining these nations up, man.
And the spiral begins. Yet Iran appears determined to show that pressure will be met with pressure. Deputy Foreign Minister Majid Tokht-Ravanchi says the ball is in America's court. Tehran wants sanctions relief. It wants economic breathing room. It wants recognition of its right to civilian nuclear development. But it will not fold under threats. At least, that is the posture. At the same time, Trump's administration frames the buildup as necessary leverage, strength before compromise. The logic? Negotiate from dominance, not from doubt. The result? A high-stakes game of brinkmanship played across oceans and conference tables simultaneously. Geneva hosts the words, the Strait hosts the weapons, and the clock is ticking. Oil tankers continue to pass through the narrow channel, watched by radar, tracked by satellites, shadowed by warships. Markets fluctuate, allies whisper, adversaries calculate. Iran is signaling it is not isolated. The United States is signaling it is not intimidated. Both sides insist they prefer a deal, but both are preparing for what happens if talks collapse.
Both, hey, Joel 3, and I'm gonna close it with that. Joel 3 and verse 9. And it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. All right. So yeah, get your strongest and your weakest warriors. Get them ready. Prepare them. Just getting ready to go down, man. Okay. And it's going to be drawn out because while they're going to be trying to, while they're going to be fighting it out, we know that the next step is what? That MOTB. All right. They got all they putting all their finishing touches on this new infrastructure, this new system. So all they got to do is just roll this bad boy out. And everything's going to start moving fast from here on out. All right. I mean, the days are already moving quickly because the Lord said the days got to be shortened. All right. For the elect's sake. So yeah, let's continue to watch. Let's keep doing what we need to do. Let's continue to pray. All right. And hey, call Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. So with that, I'm gonna give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And to the next one, Shalom.